The critical challenges facing your organization today are different from the critical challenges that have faced any of the organizations we've talked about in the past. Even if we look back as recently as 1980 or 1990, the kinds of things companies had to answer to be successful in those years is quite different from what we have to answer today. Today we're faced, of course, with a myriad of social media, cloud, new analytical techniques, all kinds of technologies that revolutionize our world. We're faced with a changing workforce, different in shape, smaller, fewer numbers of people at the bottom in many of our developed markets, rapidly growing in some of the developing areas. Lots of changes that we have to respond to. And importantly, different ways of competing. So what's the critical question that you need to solve? As I offered before, I think all organizations face a critical question that has something to do with leveraging intelligence. Now, in the application to your business, it may be, how are you going to leverage intelligence in ways that bring different ideas together in new and unique combinations, innovation. It could be, how are you going to share intelligence fast enough that you can be responsive to new trends and signals that are happening in the marketplace, collaboration, sensing. It may be, how are you going to use the smarts of an individual to come up with great on-the-spot solutions to a particular customer need? How will you get the people in your organization to feel empowered and engaged to put forth their very best efforts? I don't know which it is that you're facing or how it will play out, but those are the themes that I urge you to consider as you think about the critical question that you need to solve to become iconic over the years ahead. Whatever the answer, I think there are 5 major changes that are going to rock our business world. And I think they will affect almost all of us as we respond to this challenge around leveraging intelligence. 1 will be in the way work is organized. 2 will be in the way work is managed or integrated. 3 will be in the nature of what creates value in the work we do. 4 will be in the nature of the relationship between the people who work and the organizations that employ them. And the final and 5th will be in the way we lead and the expectations we have for our leaders. Let me say just a little bit quickly about each one. So, how work is organized. I believe most work going forward will benefit from rethinking the task-based approach that we talked about, let's say, with the silk weavers. About thinking about organizing our work with discrete endpoints and measuring workers' contributions, not around the hours they put in, but around the quality of the discrete endpoint they produce. You could call it task-based or project-based. These chunks can be of very different lengths. Some may be short, some may stretch over many, many years. But by creating distinct endpoints and measuring progress against endpoints, we achieve a number of significant benefits that are appropriate for much of the work we do today. The second, about how we integrate or manage our work, comes from our technology. If you think about, for example, me getting together with a friend, I probably would phone them, and in the course of our call, we would make a plan. We'd agree on a time and a place and who was going to drive and all kinds of other variables. But if you think about young people today using today's technology, they'd probably communicate in the moment, at that exact moment that they were interested in integrating with the other person. And often, rather than communicating a plan, they would communicate their coordinates, their location. And they would then use location as a way of homing in on each other. That idea is behind the way much of our work going forward will be integrated. We won't have long-range plans that specify exactly which day the pieces will come together. We'll have in-the-moment sensing that enables us to determine when a piece is ready, what's needed, how various pieces can be integrated in real time as they happen and as quickly as possible, avoiding more delays, making our processes even more efficient. The third, in terms of how value will be created, I deeply believe is dependent on what I call discretionary effort. So much of the value that's created today is value that I can't force anyone to do, nor can you. People have to want to do it. They have to be excited about digging deep within themselves and creating value and providing innovative ideas or sharing ideas with others or providing their very best service. That sense of wanting to provide is, I think, the core of how value will be created going forward. And by the way, notice how different that is than, let's say, our example from 1925, where standardization around specific predetermined approaches was the way value was created. That's not how value is created today. It's improvisation based on discretionary effort. The fourth, how people relate to the organizations, will be very different. We're going to see a wide variety of relationships. Will there still be employees? Yes. Some people will be employed full-time, but many people will work in many other arrangements. They may work part-time, they may be contingent workers, they may be experts that are tapped for just a moment in time to provide their expertise on a specific question. Some of us may choose to specialize in various narrow areas of knowledge. Others of us will want to work in certain locations, and the choices must be open to us. From an organizational standpoint, it means we need a mechanism in our organizations to manage this complex pool of people in this wide variety of arrangements. It also means that we can no longer think of the people that we interact with as simply our employees. You should be looking at the people that you develop relationships with as not just employees, but the wide network of people that you may want to tap in the future to contribute to your organization. You need to have relationships with them all so that they're ready to come in and contribute as needed to fit the needs of your business. And finally, how leaders lead. You know, we've had a paradigm in the past that the leader was this charismatic, brilliant individual leading the school of fish forward throughout the ocean. I don't think that's what we need today. Today, a leader's role has more to do with creating an environment in which many people can contribute to the success of the organization. It's, in a way, more about thinking of creating or engineering a set of processes and conditions that will be conducive to the kind of work we know needs to get done. And the good news is, I couldn't teach you how to be charismatic or brilliant, but I can tell you how to shape that environment. We have great research that tells us what an organization needs to look like if it's going to have sustained innovation. We have wonderful research that shows what organizations that are more collaborative than others actually do. And we know why some people are engaged and others aren't. We know what the characteristics of organizations that achieve that are. We can tell you about those. Those are the things that leaders need to understand and do going forward. In the program, Leading Businesses into the Future, we talk about 4 key skills, all of which lead to this sense of innovation, collaboration, and engagement, all of which address these changes around task and coordination and staffing and discretionary effort that I spoke of before. The 4 skills that we talk about in Leading Businesses into the Future are the skill of leading with meaning, of creating a sense of uniqueness, if you will, in who you are and what your organization is all about. We talk about creating collaborative capacity, not forcing people to collaborate, but creating a capacity in which it's likely that they would do so. We talk about being open to new ideas, not getting blinkered by old thinking, but making sure your organization is open to new perspectives, and then as a leader, constantly bombarding it with new perspectives so people are always being exposed to that sense of disruption. And finally, we talk about asking great questions. A leader's role today isn't to have all the answers. No one can do that. But a leader's role is to articulate compelling questions that will capture people's imagination and get people excited about contributing to their solution. That's leadership today. It's different from what we've seen in the past, although there certainly are some common threads that we can pull forward. But there also are some pieces we should let go of, practices that we picked up in the past that we don't need anymore. So think about your organization, what you're doing that really addresses the critical challenges you face today. I'm Tammy Erickson. Thank you very much.